Welcome to the Postmate webinar, New Rules with New Rate Requirements for DHL. My name is Karen Grant, and I'll be your instructor today. Happy to have you all on board. So these new rules came into effect I want to say about a week ago. The contracts came rolling out, and if you don't know where this contract is or you have not received it, DHL has emailed every store that participates in their programs information on this, and they keep their information or the communication in their DHL retail hub. And they've given you instructions on how to get into that. And I don't know if it's, I've never been in it, so I don't have any details on it because I'm not a store owner any longer. I don't have the details on it. However, I have been told that the contract is in there. Also, your tier level is in there. So if you're looking for your tier level, that's where you can find it. If you need assistance getting into your retail hub, please contact DHL. Before we get started, I'm going to address a couple of issues that are in the current version of 11.9.4 that we'll be correcting soon. They're not big issues at all, but if you run across them, then if I tell you about them, you don't have to call support and say, is it just me or is it everybody? So if you're used to printing out the cash accounting report in the standard format as opposed to Excel, standard format is broken for the moment. Excel version still works. So that will be corrected in an update soon. And also, when you buy postage with Indicia, it'll show a 0 as a total. That 0, I don't know where that comes from. It's bizarre, but it's not 0. So it's just not correctly reflecting the amount. Don't worry about that. That again will be corrected in the next update. But something not update related I also want to address while we're coming on early here is about USPS. And sorry to put that in the middle of a DHL webinar, but there are a number of countries that have suspended service for USPS. Postmate is not given a list of those countries or not given electronic access to what countries are and are not. However, Indicia is given that information. So if you were to try to send by postage USPS a letter or package to a country that has no service right now, Indicia would not provide you with a label. So that's the safeguard on that. And you would need to choose another service like DHL. That's the tie-in. You're welcome, DHL. I will warn you though, I have seen stores that have sent a package or a letter by mail to one of those countries, gotten a label, put it on, sent it out, and while it was in transit, that country closed their post office services. So once it gets there, it can't do anything. It ends up often getting returned. The customer comes in to get their money back, and you probably won't get your money back because the post office actually took it all the way to that country. So that's something you can work out with Indicia. I don't know the rules on that, but we have had a couple of those happen. So what I'm telling you this for is to make sure that you're very careful about sending post office to foreign countries right now, and maybe letting your customer know that if that country closes their post office during transit, that there's no refunds. And that way you kind of safeguard yourself. You can even put that on your disclaimer if you want. Okay, that's all my other stuff. Oh, yeah, no, that's all my other stuff. So we're going to get started. You have a new contract with DHL. Postmate cannot give you this contract. You have to get it directly from DHL or from your franchise group. Like I said, I believe it's in the retail hub, which you have access to. And you are no longer a DHL authorized shipping center. You are now a DSPP, so that's DHL Service Point Partner. I have to be careful, Service Point Partner. So that may seem a little bit weird to you, but let me explain what I do know about that. The DHL Authorized Ship Center came along with that name because the UPS authorized shipping outlets and the FedEx authorized ship centers were already in existence. So they just joined the crowd because it was familiar domestically to you and to customers. Why have they moved to Service Point Partner? Because that's what it's called everywhere else in the world for DHL. So you're actually joining their larger community of Service Point partners, and that's more consistent in DHL. And that's really good for you, because when somebody who is from a foreign country is in this country, they're going to be trying to find a service point partner, not an authorized shipping center. So, because they don't know what that is, but they know what a service point partner is. So this is actually a good move for you. So let's get into some of the rule changes. The first one we're going to get into, and we are going to go to Postmate. We're going to do the PowerPoint first, and then we're going to get to Postmate. The first is that that DHL in Section 2C will pay you a fee of $1.40 per letter or package dropped off at your location. That is a change from $1.50. So you can change that setting in Postmate Tools, Tools, Postmate Settings. I'm Italian, I think. I'm not, but I use my hands a lot. And then drop off settings. And then where it says $1.50, you're going to change that to $1.40. And it's just wipe it out, enter it, and then make sure that you hit the save button and you'll be golden. Easy peasy. The next thing that they've done is they have advised you that you can no longer charge anything higher than DHL published rates to your customers. That's brand new in our industry. We've never had a carrier that's restricted us in any way, shape, or form from charging whatever we wanted. I would say a vast majority of you do not charge more than published rates now, but you need to be sure now. I don't know that there's any DHL police that are going to go out there and start hunting you down, but this came about because there were some stores that didn't know how to set rates real well, and DHL's been fielding complaints from customers who paid far more than the DHL published rate. And some of you have it higher than published rate by design. You're in a very well-to-do area, and you have a large command for international, and your people are willing to pay more than published price. Well, I'm sorry, you can no longer charge more than published price or published rate for that. So we're going to look into how to address that. So just know you can charge whatever you want as long as it does not exceed the published price. You can, of course, charge less than DHL published rates. Now, some of you might be saying, well, why would I ever charge less than published rates? Well, because the website charges quite a bit less than published rates, DHL website. So if you want to be somewhat competitive or mildly competitive or super competitive with the DHL website, you're going to be charging less than published rates. If you don't care about that and you want to charge published, we're going to show you how to do that too. For our friends who are Annex Brands locations and you have your rates set to Annex Brands suggested rates, you're fine. Piece of cake, no problem. If you have any questions and you're an Annex Brands location, contact your head office. Another part is that you agree that you will not charge anything extra on surcharges or fuel surcharges specifically. So that's on this screen over on the right-hand side in surcharge rates. That's where you can add that additional. We often do that in the holidays and add an additional to get a little gravy on our potatoes. So, well, no more of that with DHL. And so I'm going to blow that up here, and you can see that additional for DHL has to be 0. Okay. We'll go through that when we get to Postmate, and also the handouts has this information for you. No markup on surcharges. Now, this is 98% true. There'll be 2% that will mess with their base rates, which allows to have markup here. No, just make it easy, guys. No markup on surcharges. So on this screen, let's see if I have a blow up on this screen. I do. Okay. So on the left-hand side, you'll see the wholesale column and the retail column need to now match. And then this is again from the previous, the fuel surcharges on the right still has that 0 on additional. So the left column and the right column, wholesale and retail, need to match, and then 0 on the fuel surcharges. Okay. So handouts are available on your dashboard. There's 2 handouts. There's one that's for everybody called the DHL Service Point Agreement Change Settings. And that's some of the things we're going to be going through today. The second one is for tier level 4 stores with advanced rate setting only. Now, it's some pretty hard stuff in that. It's pretty complicated. That that's not for the faint of heart. You really have to understand rates to use that particular setting. If you feel you can do that and you're a tier level 4 and you want to do that, that's the sheet that's going to walk you through it. And I'm sorry, my cheat sheets are really kind of ugly. I agreed with that. I'm not totally skilled in making them look pretty. I think they're fairly easy to follow, but they're not pretty like our tech notes. One day I'll get as good as Colette is on that. So we will we'll take a look at that in Postmate in a minute. So let's talk about published rate and website rate, because those are two different things. When you look up a package like this one here, this is a 13-pound package going to France. So that's zone C. And I'm just going to blow up this area. The transportation charges you'll see in the left and the right. The left is the published rate. The right is the discounted online rate that everybody gets. So anybody who ships DHL online automatically gets a 30% discount. So if you charge published rates on this package, you would be charging $271.84. The base rate on that, as you can see, is $259.51 plus fuel surcharge for a total of $271.84. If you wanted to be a little bit under the online rate, then you would want to be just a hair under that $190.30. And I'm going to show you how to do that also. Some of you want to be in between. I don't want to offer as cheap as online, but I don't want to be, charging the full $271.84 either. That's possible too. We'll show you how to do that as well. That's all in the paperwork that you're going to print out from the handouts. So moving forward, I want to show you, and I want you to keep in mind this number right here, this $259.51 number. We're going to show you that is the published price, base price of this package. It doesn't include fuel surcharge. It doesn't include any other surcharges. There just happen to be no other surcharges on this particular package, but that's the published price. So if you take 259.51 and subtract 30%, it comes to 181.67, by the way. So but let's go to the next screen here. This is from Postmate. You might recognize this. This is our tier chart, or our rate charts deep inside. And I want you to see over here, 259.51 is also what's showing in Postmate. I blew it up for you so you can see it easy. So that matches what the website said at 259.51. So, and I did this so that you know that Postmate matches DHL, because that's always a question. And then remember, the published rate is always in the DHL Rate and Service Guide, and you can actually download that. Just Google DHL 2020 Rate and Service Guide. Make sure it's the US version. They have one for every country in the world. And you can download that as a PDF on your desktop. And if you wanted to look at rates, you could. But Postmate will match every single time. It looks like this on the outside. And on the inside, I looked up this exact same package. And you can see here, we match. All three of these circled numbers match. And I put in this slide to give you confidence that Postmate has the published prices correctly. Don't worry about it. You can trust it. I'm not saying we're never wrong, but if we are wrong, we fix it right away. Okay, so we have to decide what your goal is. Most of you are a tier 2 or a tier 3, and 3 and 4 I'm kind of lumping together. 4 is a little different, but let's just go with this for now. So if you're a tier 2, it means you probably ship 1 or 2 DHLs a month. If you're a tier 3, you probably ship 1 or 2 DHLs a week. If you're a tier 4, you probably ship more than 2 DHLs a week. That's kind of how it goes. It obviously depends on the dollar amount of those, but I'm just roughing it here. So for a tier level 2, if the published price is $100, that's the most you can charge. It means that the website price would be $70. It means that package costs you $40. So your margin is 60%. That also happens to be your discount if you charge published. If you were to charge the website price, your margin would be 41.86%. Now, in our industry, we frequently talk about margins, and we tend to be between 55 and 60%. So you can see that would be a little bit difficult if you wanted to compete with the online price. However, having said that, Remember, international packages are really expensive. And so you're probably looking at making, even at 41.86%, a very healthy profit because the item is a lot more money. So to give you a similar thing, 10% of a cup of coffee is not the same amount of money as 10% of a brand new car cost, right? So that's kind of what we're going here is an international package generally is a lot more money than a domestic package. So a lower margin on an international package is still a very good amount of money. So I will not say to not compete with the website. In fact, I think it's probably a good idea for many of you to compete with the website and have a rate right around there, particularly in areas that are more modest or where you have people who are particularly savvy at going and checking online. You might want to. Now, when I say particularly savvy about going online, let me just tell you, be very, very careful with that. Many of you think, all my customers go online and check on prices all the time, and I'm always getting called out on it. You know what? You're not. You have 3 customers that do it, and they call you out every time. Okay, that may not be true, but for most of us, it feels like a lot. It's that feeling of exaggeration because you're called out on it once or twice a month or a week or whatever it is. Somebody very wise in our industry once said, if you're not told your prices are too high at least once a day, then your prices are too low. And that's kind of how it is in our industry. We are a luxury service. And so having prices on the high end, perfectly acceptable. We're not a discount service. We're not Walmart. If you're at tier level 3 and most of tier 4, the same scenario applies, but the numbers are just slightly different. For that published price, the website price is still $70. Your cost is $3 better. So you pay $37 on that because you get a 63% minimum discount. Tier 4 can get a higher one to certain zones. So for you to compete at tier level 3 with the website, you would want to have your margin set at about 42%. And that would keep you just a hair under the website. I hope this wasn't too confusing. We'll be coming back to it in a minute. So that means we're going to duke it out with DHL. I loved getting this picture. It just fit this part of my discussion so well. DHL website is 30% less than published price, and that is frustrating to us. And fortunately, none of the other carriers do such a huge discount online. So you have to decide what your goal is, and we'll talk about what your goal is. I know that makes you a little bit nervous. Some of you are just not math people. I get that. So on the handout, and you'll notice there's 2 sides to the handout, or printed in 2 pages if you didn't tell it to print on the back side of one. It walks you through changing the drop-off compensation and the surcharges and fuel surcharge. Both of those we already did. But on the other side, or the second page, it drops you off it gives you 3 pricing options, 1, 2, 3. And the first one is what we're going to talk about first. Let me change the screen here. And the first one is the blue section here, okay, the top blue all the way across. I want to charge the maximum allowed. That's the published rate. So that's going to be selection number 1 on this chart. Number 2 is I want to charge just under the DHL website. So that's going to be the second selection in this. And number 3 is, no, I don't want to charge as cheap as the website, but I don't want to charge full published price either. I'm going to do something in between, and that would be selection number 3. The reason I did this is because I think, first of all, I think that this little sheet here will be able to walk you through the settings fine. But if you have any concerns on this, you can contact our support team and say, I selected option 1 or option 3 or option 2, whatever it is, and our support people will contact you back, and you have to email. I don't want you calling up doing this, because not all. Here's what I did: as I sat down our support team and I taught different ones of them how to do different parts of this. So you have to get the right support person to call you back depending on what option you chose. And because we have all different skill levels of people involved in pricing in our office, of course, too. They can all probably do all three, but I want you to get the best service possible. So I really went through the details with different people separately. So please let us know which option you chose. Now, again, if you're tier level 4, there's a whole advanced setting. That's a whole nother sheet. I am only going to have a couple of people that are going to have instruction and support on that. So it's kind of a do-it-yourself thing. You're going to choose the advanced section. You better be pretty advanced with knowing what you're doing. Okay, and I say that because I don't want beginners or people who are uncomfortable with rates trying to get into things they shouldn't. These 3 settings, easy, really easy. And if you run into problems, we can help out. The advanced, not easy. If you're really good at rate setting and you really know numbers, it'll be easy to you. But for the rest of us, it's not so easy. Okay. I think I warned you, right? Okay. So I guess that's what I discussed here. So for those of you who want to discuss the advanced rate settings, for those of you who don't want to hear about the advanced rate settings, plug up your ears for a minute, like this little kid. For your tier 4 people only, because you have different discounts, what you want to do is set all of your rates to published first, and then take a discount from that or subtract from that. So the advanced page, that handout cheat sheet will go through that with you. That is not for the faint of heart. It isn't hard, but it's not easy either. So please only deal with that if you're in that group. Okay, done with that topic. So you have some other questions about the new contract, I'm sure. In fact, most of you have probably not even really looked at it, but you're going to want to read it. And there is a webinar tomorrow. And if you have not yet signed up for it, please do. This is an RS webinar, so you should have received, if you're a member of RS, you should have received an invitation for this. This is going to be a little bit different than today's webinar. This webinar is to talk about the contract as a whole, the specific parts of it. DHL will be participating in that webinar. They offered to participate in this webinar also, but since we're really only talking about the Postmate side of this, I didn't want to get things muddled and have it be the same as tomorrow's webinar. So if you have specific questions about the contract or for DHL, tomorrow's a great place to ask those questions. I will be participating in that webinar, and we'll do some brief looking at settings in Postmate, but it will not be a Postmate webinar, so you won't be able to ask Karen lots of questions about Postmate. That's what today's for. Next slide. Really? That's a nice slide. I should have taken that one out. So again, if you on the selections for the options, if you want help, then email us and just make sure you list your name, your serial number, and then which number 1, number 2, number 3, or advanced, whichever you want help with. I'm going to go out and we're going to take a look at Postmate now. We'll look at that. Postmate's right here. How nice. So we're going to go through real quickly how to do the different settings. There is I'm going to bring that up. Sorry, guys, I should have had that up in the first place. Let's see. There's this. Let me go to, sometimes I think of things after the fact. So on our website, on our website, there we go, enter Postmate. We have this lovely help center. You can click on it right here. And you can enter here, watch this, DHL webinar. Yeah, and it comes up with a bunch of things. Look for over here for cheat sheets. You can show all results. There's one of today's cheat sheets, and here's the advanced cheat sheet. So if you want to print it out from our website, it is there, and you can take a look at that. All right. Let's go through number 1, how to set your rates at the highest possible that you're allowed. So the first thing we're going to do is go to Tools, Postmate Settings, Surcharge Rates. And we're going to make sure that DHL Express, this is actually 4.75 right now, and yours is correct, I believe. Mine is not correct because I'm on test servers and they don't get the updates from our main servers like you do. So 4.75, I believe, is the correct wholesale. your additional right here for DHL must be 0. Okay. Then over here, we go and select DHL, and all of these charges need to match all of these charges. Okay. Okay, so that's easy. And if they don't, you just double click in there, enter the amount, and then go down to the next one and do all the way down and then click save. Okay, not hard. Let's go to base shipping rates right here. To charge the most that you're allowed to charge, you're going to, on number 1, choose published. On number 2, you're going to enter 0. That means you want 0% over published, right? Because you want to be at published. So you want 0 over it. So, and then find DHL in here, right there. Oops, see, I clicked the wrong one, DHL, and then apply and save. Done. That's all there is to it. Now you are in compliance with the new DHL contract. Okay, let's say you want to charge just a hair under the DHL website. Okay, so the first thing we do is go to surcharges. We do all this like we already did. Okay, make sure this is the same as this. We make sure this is 0. Okay, we go back to set shipping rates. Now, on this one, for number 1, we select wholesale. For number 2, if you're a tier level 2, you enter 41. If you're a tier level 3, you enter 42. Okay, there's no reason to go lower than that. These prices will put you just a hair, just really as close as we can come to being under the DHL website price. There's no reason to go much more than that, because why leave money on the table? If they can only get that package for $70 online, they're not going to get it anywhere else any cheaper. So you charging $69 would be great. So you're going to enter that price here. I have no idea what tier level I'm on this one, by the way. 42, and then click on DHL, and then apply and save. You're done. Okay. Now, let's say you choose option 3 on the sheet. You want to be somewhere between the website price and the most you can. Again, we're going to start with surcharges. You know the drill, right? Then we go to set shipping rates. Number 1, we choose wholesale. Number 2, we choose a number between, if you're a tier level 2, 41 and 60, between that. So that would be somewhere between, you would actually choose 42 to 59. So between 41 and 60. If you're a tier level 3, you would choose a number between 42 and 63. So let's say I wanted to do 55 to be consistent maybe with some of my other rates. I don't know. And set that, and then click DHL, apply and save. You're done. So this isn't hard. These 3 settings, as you can see, are very, very simple and will do the deed for most of you. It only gets a little bit more complicated when we're doing the advanced rate setting. I'm going to show you the advanced, but but those of you who are not on a tier 4, please don't watch this part because it will confuse you. To do advanced, you actually have to go into the weight-based services, and we'll go into DHL. Both letters and packages are weight-based for DHL. We're going to start with packages, and we're going to select all, formula, 0 over published, and click OK. Now we're going to click on formula again. We're going to drop the top one down to adjust by, and we're going to take a discount. So you want to be how much less than the published rate. And maybe you want to compete with the website. So you want to be 42% less. Or if that's a 42% margin, sorry. 60, yeah, 42. Oops, as I get all confused here. Let's just say I'm going to do 25% less. Click OK. I can't do math and think and do a webinar at the same time. It's against the rules. And then you click save, and it's done. And then you have to go through and do the same thing with letters. Don't forget your letters. So you select all, formula, 0, set to published, OK, formula, change the top one down to adjust by, enter a negative amount, minus 25%, and click OK. Save. That's all there is to that. So it's not really hard, but it's more difficult than the other. So we're done talking about advanced. Hopefully that covered things. So you may have some questions. Now's a good time to type them in and we'll go through those. And let's see. And I'm happy to go through anything else. Somebody on the webinar emailed me this week and asked me to show them something. And I don't know, I don't remember who it was, and I don't remember what it was. And I don't think I understood completely from their email. So if that person is on and wants me to review something, please write it in the questions and be detailed about what you're looking for. And I'll try to go over. I try any other questions you have on other topics, we try to answer at this time also. So let me go back and see if I can. Oh, no. Yes. I really do know what I'm doing here. You're typing in, right? That's what we're seeing. Okay. There we go. Questions. Okay. It worked so hard on that slide. I wanted to be sure and get it in. It was really important to me. Okay. All right. Questions are coming in. Thank you very much. And again, it's a little bit difficult sometimes to roll through these questions, so I apologize. And again, there's no DHL police that are going to be coming after you. The rules are effective now. They just want you to be busy and get changing. They want you to be in compliance in a very short amount of time. They're looking to improve the situation all the way around. So please don't ignore this. This is something you should take care of within the next week. And if you need assistance, I, for the most part, will not be available until next week. But if our support team cannot assist you, I will be able to help you next week. That doesn't mean I'm going to call all 600 of you, but I want you to get the right questions or answered and get the information you can. I do not have any other information on the other details of the contract, so I apologize for that. All right. Charlie, I'm not sure about that. When does the drop-off change to $1.40? I believe it already has. I believe that is that this contract is already in force, whether you've signed it or not. You don't get out of it by not signing it, but you can be removed. I imagine, and I'm guessing here, that you can be removed from the program for not signing it. All right. Hold on here. No, that's what, yeah. It is, https://retail.dhl.com/welcome. Okay, thanks. Okay. And I don't know where it is, Joel, on there. Okay. Online rate, again, is 30% less than the published rate. Where do you change your tier level in Postmate? Great question. All right, let's go to Postmate. That's in Tools, Postmate Settings, Carrier Setup. DHL happens to be the first one. And so you always look for the $, select that, drop that down, change your tier level, click Apply. Done. Okay. If I charge the published rates, customers might have to pay an entry surcharge to come into the store. Well, okay. Right. So Nadra, the rates on the website are not the same as published rates. The rates on the website are if you ship on the website, are a 30% discount. So, I mean, they list, the website lists the published rate, and then beside it, it lists the online price, which is 30% less. So for a $100 published rate, it would say, published rate $100, online rate $70 because of a 30% discount. So I hope that clears that up. If you want to participate in tomorrow's webinar and you have not received an email invitation for it, contact RS Associates. They are at rscentral.org. If you are not a member of that organization, they do have a free membership and a paid membership. At least become the free. I recommend the paid membership because they have a lot of things that are very beneficial to stores. Can you remind us where we go to check our tier level with DHL? It's the website. It is the DHL Retail Hub. And you do all DHL authorized shipping centers received an email regarding the retail hub and how to get into it. So if you don't, you're going to have to search your emails, check your junk email. Maybe they don't have your current email and they sent it to an old email you have to climb into, but it is out there. And I could have been wrong about the fuel surcharge, Charlie. I don't know. Again, that webinar tomorrow is an RS Associates webinar, not a Postmate webinar, but I will be on it. Okay, so Epsom has a point that frequently comes up. He saw on my list, and I'll go back here, that Amazon is on here. And does that mean we can ship through Amazon? No, there is no shipping through Amazon. The reason Amazon happens to be on my Postmate is because I added them as a carrier so that when I receive packages from my mailbox customers from Amazon, that I can record them as an Amazon drop-off or an Amazon delivery, I guess that would be better, for my mailbox customers. And you can do that too. It is under Edit, Shipping Carrier, and then you're just going to click Add. And when you do it, I'll go in and edit mine so you can see what I put in. Put Amazon in the full name, Amazon in the screen name, and click OK. And now Amazon will be in the list for when you are receiving packages. A customer comes in or a driver comes in, an Amazon driver comes in, and they give you a package, and you click OK. You can now choose Amazon, and you could choose, maybe you have a local courier service that delivers things. You could also add them as a carrier if you wanted. So, and you can always hide those carriers. You can never remove them, but you can hide them later if you want. So. Good question. Somebody always catches that. And we know that what one carrier does, the others follow. Is there a concern that UPS or FedEx will institute a do not charge more than published rate? I would say that's possible, but remember, DHL is aware that your discounts are quite good and that the dollars involved are quite big. UPS and FedEx are also aware, particularly with ground packages, that not only do they not have much margin in them, but you don't have a ton of margin and room in them either. So the likelihood of that, it's possible. It's more likely that they would do it for international. I've heard no grumblings of any such move by UPS or FedEx. So I have absolutely no reason to believe that that would happen. But it is certainly possible that that could happen. What is the last day to change for DHL? I haven't been given a day. That would be a great question for tomorrow in the webinar where DHL is participating. If you have not received a check from DHL for your drop-off compensation, you would need to talk to DHL. I can't remember how often those come. I want to say monthly, but it could be quarterly. But you would want to check with DHL directly on that. How does DHL know when you have corrected or changed your rates? They don't. They would only know if somebody complained about your store, then they would know. There's no spies in Postmate that look at your rates and tattle on you to DHL. That does not exist. They are never, ever able to see what you have charged your customer. That is absolutely forbidden. Okay. What is the DSPP website address? I don't know other than the DHL Retail Hub. How can we check? Okay. I hope I'm getting through these. So many of these are repeats that I feel like I'm starting to get through the questions here. DHL waived this fuel surcharge. Can we charge the customer? To my knowledge, DHL has not waived the fuel surcharge. One of you correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I do not believe that DHL has waived the fuel surcharge. If they have for you, then you're special. No, Scott. How often is your tier changed with DHL? That's a good question. It is dependent on your volume with DHL. I do not know how strongly they regulate that. Whereas UPS and FedEx have an absolute structured system that calculates it every single week or month, depending on which carrier. I don't know that DHL is quite that structured and quite that religious about changing your tier level. That would be a great question for DHL directly, but it is a good question. Susan asks, earlier in the webinar, I spoke about how USPS, Indicia, will not print a label for a country who is not able to accept mail during the COVID-19 era that we're in. Many countries, in fact, a huge number of countries have shut down mail services. When I say huge, I want to say most of Latin America, Central America, South America, and Africa, and Asia, a lot of Asia, have completely turned off mail services. So that's a large portion or restricted them. Your question is that safety in place also for FedEx, UPS, DHL? Will they not print labels? That should be true, but mail service in those countries have no bearing on UPS, FedEx, DHL. To my knowledge, for the most part, those companies are able to operate completely within those foreign countries with few exceptions. And I'm sure there are some exceptions. I have a feeling China, there's quite a few exceptions. In Russia, there might be quite a few exceptions. But for the most part, the common carriers, UPS, FedEx, DHL, should be able to deliver to those areas. They also should prohibit a label if they cannot. And they should, if they do provide a label and they find they can't, you probably will be able to get a refund. I don't know the details on that. I have not been told. It's a funny thing. Every time I do a webinar, everything on my face itches and I want to scratch it. It's a thing. Okay. Can you please show the change of price setting for tier 3 again? Missed it due to customers. Tier 3 or option 3? I'd need more information. Does this DHL decision comply with U.S. law of price fixing? Well, I'm no attorney, so I can't tell you that. But I can tell you as a complete layperson who is an expert in this industry that the answer would be yes. And the reason I can say that is a prime example of this exact thing is the UPS stores, which are independently owned and operated, are mandated that they can charge no more than the UPS suggested retail price. They can charge less than that, but they cannot charge more than that, and that complies with federal law. So if you participate in the DHL Service Point Partner Program, they have the right to mandate how much you cannot exceed. Now, they cannot tell you you have to charge a certain price. You have to charge 30%. No, they can't do that. But they can tell you, they can give you boundaries where you cannot exceed. What is the DHL Best Rate Guarantee Program referenced in the new agreement? Okay, again, I don't have all the details of the new agreement, but all of the carriers have a side program where they can give you much better discounts on international shipping for specific packages going to specific places on specific days. And what that means is that, and I think that's what this program is they have airplanes going to different places every single day. And if on Wednesday it looks like that airplane is going to be half empty, they'll drop the rates down and give you an 80 or 90% discount just so they can fill up that plane. And even if they only break even on your shipment, at least they're helping to pay for the fuel and getting the airplane over there. So that's what I believe that program is about. It's filling up planes kind of at last minute. I know FedEx has that program. I know UPS has that program. I believe that's what that program is with DHL. It's always fun to participate in those calls. So if you have particularly a large size package going international, and let's say you send your customer out the door and you've charged the customer price and everything, call DHL or UPS or FedEx, whoever you sent it with, and try to get a better rate on that. You never know. It might be one of those planes that are part empty, and they can say, "Oh yeah, we'll do that for, an 85% discount." Do whatever you have to do. You may have to go online to ship it, and then you void the one in Postmate. But if you make that much more money on a big shipment, why not? So that's kind of what I think. That's what that program is. I'm sorry that I'm not completely sure on that. Yes, Cecilia, when you set your rates in Postmate, um, while there are multiple ways to set them, you only have one end rate in Postmate. So what she's asking is, if I set it in global settings, is it the same as setting it in the advanced settings? And the answer is yes. Okay, answered that one. To charge published rate, we'll go to that one. So if you want to charge the published rate, which is the most you're allowed, you will go up to Tools, Postmate Settings. First, we'll go to Surcharge Rates. Make sure that your additional here is 0. Drop this down, select DHL. Make sure that your retail column matches your wholesale column. Then go over to the left to set shipping rates. And on number 1, you're going to choose Published. Number 2, you're going to enter 0. And number 3, you're going to click on DHL. And number 4, Apply and Save. On your magic little sheet that we have here, let's see if I can get it there, it's number 1 on that sheet. Okay, so this is a new store owner, and he's heard that some store owners have problems with DHL processing on Postmate. Is this a problem they were having, or is there issues? Okay, so let me just tell you the weird truth of this. DHL has, I'll say, 2 sets of servers. I'm sure they have more than that, but for us, they have 2 sets of servers. One is if you go to dhl.com and use that uses 1 set of servers. If you use any other software, including Postmate, that has an API with DHL, which is the way computers talk to each other, they have API servers. The API servers require a different set of information than the online ones. And so those API servers of DHL's give us fits. And what it is it usually requires the address to be a certain way. And that can be a problem because the online website won't require it to be that way. And you call DHL and they say, no, the way you got it should be fine. But the DHL API requires for example, the postal code, if it has a space, it has to have a space in it. The city name might have to also have the suburb. That suburb might have to be put on the state or district line, or it might have to be on address line 2. And there's no consistency to it. So I can't just tell you, here's the answer. It's different for every stinking country. Keeps our support team to have a job, that's for sure. So I'll give you a hint of a place to go. Let me see if I can pull this up. Okay, it is, I always forget this. I want to say it's dhl.dct.com. Am I right? Yeah. Oh, it's dct.dhl. I always get it backwards. I'm sorry about that. dhl.dct. And this will help you. It's not 100%, but this fixes about 60 or 70% of those issues. So let's say we were going to, I don't know, let's go United Kingdom. And then okay, see that it didn't like it. It started to recognize it, and it's because, see that? It wanted the space. Once I put the space in, then it gave me a drop down and told me what city. But when I didn't put the space in, well, I have to kind of start over. Yeah, I didn't like it too much. So it helps you out in this. Maybe this wasn't the greatest example. There we go. Yeah. Of course, I'm playing with it too much and it's throwing up. But this really helps you out. And it'll tell you the suburb here if it needs a suburb. So a lot of times it'll have a city and a suburb. And by the way, when your customer brings in an address, it's amazing how many times they are wrong. Google that city name. A lot of times the city name is a borough. For example, if you're sending something, I'm going to give you a domestic example, but this is the same outside the country. If you're sending something to somebody in downtown New York City, you don't send it to Manhattan, New York, right? Or Bronx, New York, or Queens, New York. Even though when you talk to somebody who lives in the Bronx, they say, I live in the Bronx. When you talk to somebody who lives in Manhattan, oh, I live in Manhattan, because they're, rich snobs. Sorry, guys. But that's kind of the idea. So your customer may bring in and say, oh, it's in whatever name, but that's really a suburb. That's not the actual city name. So sometimes that has to be adjusted for DHL. So bookmark this, dct.dhl.com. Okay, hopefully I'm getting through this. This webinar will be on our website. And any timeline on the stamps.com changes in Postmate? Nope, they still have not given us a timeline for the net stamps changes. Cecilia, she's somebody very beautiful. And I don't know where on the DHL website Retail Hub to find your tier, because I've never been on there. I don't have the credentials to get in there because I'm not a store owner anymore. Okay, so thank you, Naeem. So Naeem went to the website and he says, I checked the DHL website and it states that I receive a 63% discount because of the monthly spend. Is that a tier 2 or a tier 3? That's a tier 3. 60% is tier 2, 63 is tier 3. If you're a tier 4, you should know you're a tier 4 because that's something special. Kurt wants to, you are special, Kurt. All right. How do I change my store name in Postmate as my store name has changed? Okay, there's two places that you need to change it in Postmate. One is the same area, store information, and you're going to change it right here. Your store name is no longer going to be Karen Grant. It's going to be Pack and Ship USA, whatever it is. That's where you'll enter it. That's for the shipping side. And then for the cash register, and the reason we have this is because not everybody uses the shipping side that uses our cash register, believe it or not. Some people love our Cashmate so much, they just use that. So that will be under Tools, Options, and then Register Settings. Come on, catch up with me, computer. And then Receipt Layout right here is what's going to be on your receipt. So that's going to be right here, and that'll pull for the POS side. Good question. And I'm not going to try to say your name because it's really long and scary to me. USPS label, which prints out, post office is unable to scan the barcode on the label. So Epson, do me a favor and look at the underneath of your label printer or on the side and see what label printer it is. If it's a 2844, it's because it's 15 or 20 years old and just needs to be replaced. If it's not a 2844, then it could be your post, especially if you're in a small town, your post office barcode scanners are just outdated. We've seen it. It also could be that you maybe need to try a different driver for that printer. Our support team would be happy to work with you and see, you can try different drivers and see if it helps. Other than that, there's really, those labels come directly from Indicia. So they are created by Indicia, not Postmate. However, your printer certainly can affect the way they print. We use air bills now and want to know if we have to print the label from Postmate now. So DHL has had a program in place for a number of years called Kill Bill. And their idea is to kill the airway bill. My understanding is that's like the number one way that fraud occurs, is that airway bills running around with account numbers on it or credit card numbers on it. They want to eliminate that. So they have asked that you use an online solution. And I want to say, again, I didn't read the contract verbatim because I don't want to discuss the whole contract. That is a great question for tomorrow. But my guess is that your contract states that you will do an electronic version, whether it be through Postmate or on the website, their website. But an electronic label, I believe, I know it's what they're requesting. It's probably also what they're requiring. So look at that to find that out. Yeah, the FedEx program for that discount is called Great Rates. Thank you. I don't remember the name for UPS, but they have one too. Okay. Wanda asks, on my Postalmate, how do you get all of these things here? She doesn't have all of these things, and it's simply because you don't have them turned on, but you already figured that out. So I'm not going to go through all the details of how to add these, but if there's one in here that interests you, Freight is a freight entry program. Quote is the quote or estimate feature where you can print out an estimate for shipping or for anything in the POS. And then receive hold is for receiving packages for your mailbox customers, or if you're a FedEx hold it location, receiving packages there. If one of those three or more than one interests you, please email our support team and say, I want to know how to turn on the blank that I saw on Karen's screen, and our support team would be happy to walk you through that. Gives them something to do today. Again, 63% discount is a tier 3. I think we're duplicating questions now. How about the logo added to the customer screen in Postmate? How can I do that? So this logo right here that says Postmate, you can change it to your store logo. And that is found right up here, Tools, Postmate Settings, Branding Store Group. See how it says Postmate here? You can just drop that down to Custom, which is going to be the one you have, which is probably a JPEG. And you're going to find it on your computer, and you're going to put it in there, and it will show up. Oops. It does need to be a certain size, so it needs to be smallish. You may have to shrink it down. I don't know. I want to say it does have to be a JPEG also. Sorry, I don't know the specifics on that. Yeah, that's my understanding too, Kurt. Okay, looks like I've gotten through all the questions. If I missed yours, again, with 600 people, it's certainly possible I did, and you still will have that question. Please email that question to support@pcsynergy.com. I'll monitor the emails for a little while and try to get back to you. I'll also be helping out our support team today in helping to set the rates if they have any questions. They've all been educated in how to go through and adjust your rates by the job by the options that you want on these. Remember, you have basically 3. I don't know how that's showing up, but basically 3 choices unless you're doing advanced. So I hope that it all goes well for you. Make sure you watch the webinar tomorrow. That'll get more of your questions. Print out that contract and read it, the agreement. It's not a contract, an agreement from the DHL website, and read that in detail. It's been wonderful. We will have a COVID-19 webinar in a few weeks because everybody's starting to ramp back up, and a new owners webinar, newbies webinar for new owners or newbies in general will be in a couple weeks. Have a great and safe holiday weekend. Take care all. Good to talk to you. Bye-bye.